DrTPS Garu. He is the space scientist, educationalist, spiritual director, motivational speaker, and author of Life of Love, Rhythm of Life, Life Made Simple, and a Life Mentor. We are very happy to have you for today's session, sir. We will for today's session.
Namaskaram to all of you. SR University and the place where you are having your program is not new to me. I was there some time back for few sessions, and also I spoke on design thinking last program by DST in the SR University. I have nothing new to say. I know that I am a substitute. When somebody was absent, I was asked to engage it. Design thinking framework can be dealt depending on which engineering topic, which subject you wanted to discuss, because design thinking is a philosophical structure in which you can look at a problem in a more structured, critical, innovative, improvised discovery style, in which you can make a difference in the way it is projected, in the way it is done, in the way it can be looked at in various structure. Any data, any knowledge is generally considered as data, which when you analyze it becomes information. Any data which you get, either it can be a textbook or a video or a internet, when you Google what you get, when you analyze it, it becomes information. When you learn and conceptualize inside you, that becomes a knowledge. When you make it practicable at different places, use it, practice it, that becomes your skill. A skillful person always know how to add practically for the people, for their application, for which you need to have little bit of empathy, sympathy, looking at applications, how and where my knowledge is going to be useful. That require a little more wiser knowledge, wiser understanding. See, most of the time that doesn't have, even for great academic, so-called academic institutions, because they only go for textual lab work, examination and such activities. That is one of the fatal error which the Indian academic institutions have. Once you use that knowledge for your designing, your activity, everyday activity, that becomes skill. Last time also I was mentioning, I was in Indiana University. There is a great center for Department of Information Sciences. As you enter the department itself, you have the staircase, and in the staircase, as you make noise, there will be a beautiful tinkling sound where feathers touch each other. It's like a musical sound. If the noise in the veranda is more, the musical sound from the rooftop will become much more noisable, so that it gives you a indirect hint that you are not supposed to make noise there. It's a beautiful technology applied. Anybody could do this in any institution. Anybody can do this, but what is required is a beautiful design which creates your building itself look like that. If a doctor is able to make a bed for the purpose of looking at the patient conveniently, you go to dentist when they have a chair which is convenient for them. That is engineering, that is technology. But to imagine this is how it becomes more comfortable is a design thinking. I am sure a modern engineering college or university, if you look at the building, you know whether these people have got some sense. If they don't have sense, they will have money, they will have departments, but activity will not happen. So the skill, the knowledge becomes skill only when you add ethics, morality, wisdom, and produce something unique which will become a sample for the society. That is when we say this man is an experienced man. He has got a lot of knowledge. He knows how to make things happen. That framework is what is exactly design thinking. Probably the students who, I'm sure most of you know the movie, the English, in which the entrepreneurship is introduced in a very, very beautiful way. The discussions where Sridevi says how I am making laddu and then doing, and the word entrepreneurship is given to her, which she conceptualized herself. Oh, this is what it is. It is not knowledge, it is not information. That is actually the understanding. So it is essential to get understanding, which is much higher than knowledge, learning, informations. How far you understood things? Are you able to capture the essence? Are you able to critically analyze it? I am sure such people, anything which they do becomes quite useful. Even a failure is a great lesson. That's why we keep talking about Thomas Alva Edison. Maybe how many years back? 100 years before independence? Yeah, 1847. The invention of not one, the phonograph, light bulb, electricity, all that is a great concept which led to a modern world where we are all enjoying even today. How could he do that? Not that he was a great scientist. More than that, he had a vision. That is what is called a vision. Any person can do teaching. But if you ask, who is the best teacher whom you have seen in your life? However best is there, it doesn't matter, because I remember when I was traveling in Kailash, we have lot of dry fruits to eat. Kaju, kismis, badam, all that. When somebody had shown the hand, whatever I had was only little bit of kaju, kismis and all that. When I given, they looked at it and they have just thrown. Because they don't know the value of it. Now, I am giving a lecture. There are maybe, I don't know, in the paper there may be many teachers attending, but today I am seeing only 12 people. Because most of the people who are into business of education is looking at certificate, making things happen on paper, but not physically learning something. So anything which you give, it doesn't have value. Because we understand when we talk about serious things, how many people will come back to us, how many people will discuss further, how many people show interest. I was also part of academic staff college, training teachers. We know that what is the purpose of such a training? The purpose of such training is to trigger the teachers to hook upon somebody who gives them greater idea and take that as a merit work for them to implement in the research, in the teaching. So when we talk about, we have to take examples. Not that I myself is an example, I may refer to somebody else. So you hook up on them. And whom you wanted to look at it. Yeah, this is what everybody want. If possible, share your presentation to audience. Yeah, so that somebody can copy it and dump it and use it somewhere else for giving some lecture. I am talking about powerful points that they don't want. Everybody want to give something so that documentation is there. I can read it later. I am not a person who share PowerPoint. I don't use PowerPoint. It just comes blah blah to me. Okay, because this is everyday job which I am doing. This may be thousands lectures where I have trained more than million people. So this is what the problem. Nobody wants powerful points. They all want PowerPoint, written notebook so that they can bind it and keep it somewhere in the shelf. Say that. Take down at least note. A good student, a good teacher is one who will write notes. Take notes and make notes. 2 habits. If that is not there, it's all useless. And I also record it. I also post it onto YouTube. Refer DrTPS. All these what I speak exactly will be there. Probably I will add some pictures also there. Because it just came yesterday evening. I am not a free person. I am fully busy. The requirement of the lecture itself came yesterday. So I had to just hurry up and then come in front of you. Wherein I have only my laptop, nothing else with me. Okay. So I am not a person who uses PowerPoints. I use powerful points. I was talking about a teacher can be highly innovative. How do a teacher becomes innovative? When he has a concept in him, he has a framework. How many physics teachers go back to their classroom one day earlier and then prepare for his lecture and then come back to next day to show how simple pendulum works, in which he hangs himself. Walter Levin, one of the greatest physics professor, whom probably not physics, any subject can be taught implementing such creativity in your life. That's the ability one should have. If you have that, you implement yourself. That's why I'm saying data is not important. I started with the data. When you analyze it, it becomes information. When you make it yours, it becomes knowledge. And that knowledge with your wisdom, when you add it, that becomes experience. And that experience will come only when you become a researcher, not a learner. A person who understands things, not a researcher who gets a PhD in the normal universities. I am not talking about them. It's all hooked up. When somebody reads that, if not his supervisor or somebody who evaluated, some expert reads it, they will just throw it. Probably I myself read my own thesis after long years. I understand all of them are rubbish. I can take another 1 or 2 PhD telling what is wrong in that. Right? Because we all believe that when I get a PhD doctor, I know that subject. It's all not correct. It's only giving you a wrong signal that you stop. Most of the people stop research soon after they get a PhD, because that is required for becoming principal of a college or maybe getting your promotions. This is what the problem is. So doctorate is not, doctorate is for somebody who has got creativity inside. He need not have a doctorate. The creativity is the God for research is Brahma. Who will have Brahma inside him? Brahma will be inside only for those people who have got his wife in his tongue. That means Saraswati has to be in his tongue, so that I know how to think. That is why Brahma and Saraswati are wedded. You have to be highly creative. The Brahma is the god of creativity. And assume that you have creativity inside you. I am 100% sure the Brahma's wife, Saraswati, will be there. Therefore, you will become knowledgeable. So, for a researcher, for a creative thinker, for an innovative thinker, or a design thinker, what is essential is Hridaya Guhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram. Inside his Hridayam, there has to be Brahma. If that Brahma is not there, what is Brahma's job? Research. The Brahma will make you a learner. If that ability you have, I am 100% sure you will start thinking. I remember when I got an engineering college set of students to my home in Kerala, I conduct a lot of camps. Now I am talking from Hyderabad. From Hyderabad, we had few engineering college students. I just gave them some pulley and then asked them to create They were mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, computer science, doesn't matter whatever is that. It's only some department is giving some degrees. They don't make them engineers really. So they have to have this engineering mind, otherwise it's useless. Who is this Krishnavani, the VVIP, who is earlier it was the anchoring person or maybe the host who was on mainstream, and now Krishnavani is in mainstream, who is on the display. Yeah, good, nice to have. But when I record, I have got only a K in the front, it doesn't look good. That's only what I'm asking. I gave some 3-4 pulleys and asked them to look at it and create a system in which you can use the principle of lift, wherein with minimum energy you can lift 500 kgs. You don't see a big motor behind a lift. So what is the mechanism used? It's multiple pulleys. If you have got a grill structure in which you look at it behind, it's there. Everybody has seen it. But have you applied it in your home for your applications? Assume that you have got a 7-storied building. You want to lift something. The lift is not working. What do? You can have pulleys and a single person can pull it. Last time I was showing some beautiful examples of how I have pulled a tree and then made it straight. You don't require many workers. You require only one person. Look at my design thinking lecture last time. You can see that. So what is design thinking? It's focusing on innovation on which people work to design on what? Based on the need what he has. That's why just now I said I want to lift something to the higher floor. I have a need. So what do I design? From the knowledge what I have, like a pulley business which I learned in my 7th class or 8th class, science textbook. That's good enough for me. From there, what do? I use it today. Do you have that ability? Do you have that ability to use all that what you want? All that what you want. When there is a real requirement. How do you put them together? To show that you can create a structure in which you look, whatever the solution what you want will become beautiful. How nicely you can make use of the knowledge what you have to create a structure. That's what is essential. So the design thinking is for a purpose. There is a need which is created. You have a want. I want. And people will like it because you are giving a peaceful, beautiful, nice solution which makes an easy usage. That is what is design thinking. How beautifully I can do that. That can be putting a handle for a door. That can be the way you arrange your kitchen. Now I surprise and I used to look at the kitchen platforms are generated by somebody. And assume your kitchen platform is designed for you, and assume your mother is too short and she is not able to work in the kitchen. With a stove put onto that, to lift something and put onto the stove, she has a problem. I don't understand why people did not create a kitchen stand which can work hydraulic. You have a car in which you can have a seat in which you can lift it up and right and then turn it on. One of the places where ladies work most of the time is kitchen platform. Why we don't have a hydraulic kitchen platform in which at least the stove, forget about the rest of the things, I can lift it up. Assume depends on the vessel which is bigger or heavier. You need to lift your hand up. It's inconvenient actually. Most of the people have problem. There are a lot of accidents happened when people take the water out to pour on their body, right? So this is simple thought. Because that simple thought, you have an engineering department, create something which is new, which people like it, which makes their life easier, which supports them, which you can market it. It's not that just making. Design thinking doesn't end with engineering. It doesn't end with engineering. Engineering is you make a sample pilot project, show that I can do it. No, that's not good enough. You make a product out of it, you market it, and you supply to many people. Look at the people, they are using it, and do a rating on that, and then understand it is a really useful product which I give it. Because you start with a requirement from people, end with the feedback from people. So design thinking is both engineering and a management business type together. So design thinking doesn't end with just an engineering or just a theory, or it ends with what you can do. I have done a lot of things when I was a management professor in one of the colleges. I implemented this and then seen that my students, all of them get job. It was not at all difficult, because you have to have a method in which you take the skill and allow a design process and align the people as what can be produced, what they want. The whole business strategy also has to be worked out behind looking at the customer value, market survey, market opportunity. All the 5M also has to be there. There is no point in having a great design in which money involved is much, market is not there, and materials are used much. So design has to be very, very optimistic. So I should not have a design in which I make a product where people don't use it because it's highly costly. So all the M principles which we have in management, 5M, the money, market, manpower, material, everything has to be used in a very, very credential manner. So what is design thinking? It's a creativity and generate innovative solutions. Not good enough. In a framework where the strategy, system, the paradigms, the nexus, the domains, the business, the product, which runs not just for few days, it runs for years together. If you have such a design and you add that ability in your entrepreneurship training, most of the day today now you will see most of the courses they have entrepreneurship and design thinking. It is not what can be taught in a classroom. You need to show. See, probably if I have got a workshop, what I do is I will give some maybe waste materials and ask you to create something. You can see in my home, when I had lot of camps conducted, maybe 400, 500 people came and then stayed there 10 days. You can imagine 4,000 people. And that 4,000 people use how many liters of water? I was providing water in a Bisleri water, or maybe drinking water, the packaged drinking water in bottles. So I had got thousands of bottles. So immediately I created a wall out of my bottle. It's not something new. I'm sure there are a lot of experiments done by many people using waste material into the wealth out of waste is a big subject which can be taught. And if you want to do that, you need design thinking. There are a lot of people, when there was great flood, many clothes were dredged inside and become waste. It was so muddy. And a beautiful concept of making small dolls which out of the old clothes was conceptualized, and they were all sold, and that money was used to provide help for these people who suffered the flood. So you don't have to invest money. Look at what you can do with less investment. That is more important. That's what people keep saying. Maybe one of the greatest person, the Steve Jobs, keeps talking. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. That means it is looking at what action you can do. It is not what is a conceptual thing. Though the framework can be conceptual, design thinking doesn't talk about only logic, only knowledge, without practical skill activity added to that. So it's not creative thinking, it is not analytical thinking, it is not critical thinking, it is not presence of mind, but it is how practically use all of them to create a skill, to create a products out of it. So what you have is technology, you have what I spoke so far. Technology you have, business you have, and you have people also. If you take a common factor out of it, what is the common? What is the common factor from this? You understand that is innovation, which supports, critical thinking that supports, that is making business out of this, because you need people, you need concepts, you need technology. All of them together, in the center what you have is an innovation, and that innovation can be a design thinking. Design thinking which makes a lot of comfort for people. Great engineering concepts are practically used in a business. That is what the minimum information what is to be understood. Having understood this in the first half an hour, probably you must look at lot of examples of design thinking. That's what I am supposed to do. But I can give you a lot of examples that doesn't help. I was in Coca-Cola company last year in America. We understand that Coca-Cola had great business in India. It is not in India. There may be hundreds of countries in which they spread. Each one of them, what you sell in India is not what is sold in Africa. What is sold in Africa cannot be sold in Brazil. That cannot be sold in America. Each of the country has got a different tongue and different taste. Indian people like a lot of pickle. The same pickle you cannot sell it in America. They will really become hot and they get angry. So I'm sure each country has got a different taste. So how do you add? How do you make it package for the purpose? It's a high, even including the advertisement which we do. It is not the product alone. The concept of advertising. When I said marketing, it includes business. So you should know how to advertise. How to keep things in the perception in which the people who wanted to buy, that's what is market. A behavior analysis, the market analysis, human behavior. Market analysis is full of psychology to understand how people take it. So that is true with even a car. So I was talking about Coca-Cola, you can see different taste is created. Now you look at a car. In Indian situation, most of the people drive their own car. Now when you drive your car, even a rich man, probably unless you are too rich. So assume that you are creating in a four-wheeler. The blower is to be in the front. But assume you are creating an executive car. Generally, you don't drive. The owner sits in the back and then you have a driver. Assume the AC blower is in the front. That car, the air condition effect is coming to the driver but not to the owner. So, all the executive cars which are created in India, immediately they put a vent, a blower, a controller, everything behind. So that the owner can always control it. Got it? But I am sure, assume the same car, same model, same company manufactures it for America. If he keeps all the control behind and less air condition in the front, nobody will buy it. Because the richest of the rich, including probably the governors or maybe the president, all of them love to drive their own car. The CEO of a company, the principal, only here in India you will see the stupid mechanism. Once you become some senior officer, you need a driver, you need an attendant to carry your bag. Otherwise, you are not considered as supreme, right? But in American Western culture, everybody has to do their own job. No servant maid at all in America. You cannot survive with a servant maid salary because everybody earns equivalent. Maybe once in a week, 1 hour, if they come and then work in your house as a servant maid, you will have to pay maybe 1/3 of your salary. That is how they charge you. So who will afford a servant maid? So you cannot. So everybody is supposed to do their own job. So assume you create a car in which the driver is given less the ventilator and the AC power is always given in the behind. I'm sure nobody will buy that car. So how the design is done? The design is done interfacing with understanding what service is essential, who are the users. Customer is more important. If you don't look at customer and design, it becomes useless. So the design thinking always have a inspiration from the practical aspect. Understand that how I am going to do it, for what purpose. That's called idea. I must have a good idea about who is going to use it. I must have a good idea about what is the requirement and about the engineering and technology. How am I going to implement it? If that is called ideation. So first is inspiration, get from the empathy, look at the people, and then look at ideation. And that ideation is not good enough. I have to implement it. So design thinking is inspiration, ideation, implementation. Now assume that I implement something. You imagine the earlier cases, we had bucket seats in the front. And the back seat was, you can see the ambassador car and the old model. The two seats in the front was bucket seat. Bucket seat is supposed to be the most comfortable seat. And then back seat was only like a bench in which no separation was there. So what happened? Those days ambassador car, the driver was enjoying and the owner was actually suffering. But they found out this is not the way to do it. Then the executive car came. Back seat also happened to be with a lot of luxury seats. Like the bucket seat was also made in the back. But the front seat always, driver has to be comfortable. Either he is a paid driver or you drive your own car. So the implementation gives you again some more idea. So it's like a circle. Inspiration, ideation, implementation. Inspiration, ideation, implementation. That's called 3I. The 3I concept. Inspiration, ideation, implementation. It goes into circle. So from after the implementation, I get some more idea and some more inspiration. Oh, this is not the way to do it. It's that's what the researcher is. He keeps on rewriting. And there are great book writers, revolutionary thinking people. You know what do? They write a book this year. Next year, they rewrite the whole thing and publish another book. I've seen somebody say, I've published 30 books. And if you read all the books, all of them are contradictory to each other. Why? Because he himself wrote what he wrote last year is wrong and he rewrote the book. That's also quite possible. So you can have a number of books written. You first do a lot of mistakes, keep on doing it. Research publications are also like that. You can see most of the people, they publish, keep on publishing. Same concept, rewrite it. They identify something new. That cannot work in business. People won't accept. Your brand will not stay. So, implementation should happen only after you get satisfied. So, the ideation, implementation, inspiration, all that becomes an iterative process with identifying the problem of my implementation, identifying the problem in my ideation, identifying the problem in which I conceived the idea by asking somebody what is that your requirement, and I found some grave mistake in me, so I can correct that. So these are all in the framework of design thinking. This is what, and then sometimes you don't make the product. I'm sure all the engineering faculty knows what is prototyping. So if before I make a phone, what is done is the prototype is made. And the prototype I will handle in my hand and then see how does it work. I throw it and see where does it break. And I put a cover. Even if I make a cover, I will see how does it fit in, where the number has to be kept. Any product which you make, that's how it is done. Right? So what do you do is by control, compare and evaluation. And that goes on like a sequence. So design thinking is an action in which when you keep on iterating, understanding the real requirement, it's always in action. Understand design thinking, though the word thinking is there, it is not thinking, it is action. It is not a conceptual basic subject which can be taught in classrooms. So many problems in the world doesn't end with innovation, it ends with business. Therefore, if I assume today I create a phone, you have seen hardware changes very fast. Software changes slightly slower. And whenever the hardware and software changes, I demand all my telephone number has to be ported. So what is important? The data has to be ported. Technology shifts very fast. Across the world, technology goes very, very fast. The market also shifts according to the technology because everybody does business based on the product what we generate to make money. We always see that I have to be comfortable in porting my data to the next version in software. If my earlier PowerPoint which I generated doesn't work in the next PowerPoint version, I'm sure nobody will buy that software. Now, the PowerPoint software which I implemented, which I recorded, which I played in my system, which I plugged in my, any application to that matter, plugged in my system. When I change my system, it must work. Or if I record it and then take it in a pen drive and then use it some other system, if that doesn't accept, we don't like the systems. So immediately the portability, according to the market shift, according to the technology shift, how I can shift from one place to another place, people to people, how adaptability. That's what is called adaptability. So the idea which you generate, the technology which you generate, the inspiration what you get, everything has to be people centered. Therefore, design thinking is a People-centered activity. There is no second question on that. It's all people-centered, including a design of a small chair. You can see Amazon will send you free sometime a chair which is sent to you and then ask you to evaluate, look at it, sit there and then see, feel it. And then if you don't like it, after 1 month you can return it. IKEA products are also like that. They will allow you to send it back. So your idea has to be implemented. You don't require somebody's help. You should not go and then ask somebody, yeah, I'm a design thinker, I've got a lot of ideas, will you help me to implement it? Then that means you are not a design thinker. It's like I am writing a book, how to make money, and I want to publish it, and I will go to a rich man and ask for some money because I want to publish the money. And the book's the name is How to Make Money. I am a person who can write a book on how to make money, and I don't even make money for printing my own book, and I beg for that. That means I am only a theoretician but practically zero. Understood? So a design thinker is always a leader who knows what to do and how to do. Nobody creates a design thinker. So though theoretically you can put that into framework and say if you work like this, you are called a design thinker. So even if you do a special course on design thinking, even if you do a PhD in design thinking with somebody's help, unless you implement it practically by yourself, you cannot. It's like you are wearing the dress of a lion and a fearful mind inside, right? Lion is someone who always have got courage. Lion is never made as a king. Nobody makes lion as the king of the forest. Who made lion as the king of the forest? Nobody makes it. It's the storytellers who says that lion is the king of the forest. Why did storytellers say that lion is the king of the forest? Because the way in which it walks, the way in which it works, everybody can countersign saying that he is a great man, right? He has got great power. So that is the ability which you have to capture yourself. That's why it keeps saying, na abhisheka ho, na samskara ho, simhasya kriyate vane. No abhisheka karma, no special rituals are there to make lion as the king of the forest. Na abhisheka ho, no enthroning festival, no special occasion is there wherein you have to make somebody as the king of the forest. It's not required. Simhasya kriyate vane, swayam arjidam, vikramarjida simhasya, swayam eva mrugendraja. The lion says, I am the king. So a design thinker need not get a certificate from a university saying that you are a design thinker. Not required. The action, the way in which he looks at it, he will become himself as design thinker. That is what the ability. As his bhavana, bhavana is the thought process. Yasya bhavana siddhir bhavadi, that ability to think will be there in him. The dreams becomes a true activity. If that doesn't become, you cannot be called as a design thinker. As a teacher, probably I've got my own style of teaching, and that is what is an acharya is supposed to have. Assume that you mark yourself as a way in which you create a solution for a problem. You don't require to search for solutions for problems. You need to have that eye. You need to have that creativity inside you. I keep saying you have got a coconut. In the coconut, there is a great bad market for coconut in many places because they keep saying that when you take coconut oil or coconut, you will have cholesterol more. Any viscous oil which is highly viscous, non-Newtonian, which has got retardation, relaxation more. I know who knows fluid mechanics will understand this. That will have lot of cholesterol content because it doesn't move in your body that easily. Even capillary motion will have a problem, right? So what do? That will also affect you in terms of your character, your ability, the laziness will improve sometime. There are a lot of side effects also. How do you treat this? Traditionally, people never had this problem. Only today these problems are coming. If you look at it, you have the coconut and you have a shell outside. The shell is what was generally, traditionally people made that shell as a spoon. The shell was cut and then put a stick to that, and that is what is used as a spoon. So what will happen while cooking itself, you are using the same spoon which is rotating inside, and after long, maybe 1 year, 2 years, when you use the spoon itself gets diluted. Where is it getting diluted? Where is it getting dissolved? It goes inside the food what you eat. So people identified after long years that the cholesterol is there with the coconut, but if the outside copra, the shell which you smash it and then drink water, that is what traditionally people were using. That becomes a solution for your cholesterol problem. So that can be treated. So in the world itself, for every problem in the world, simply there are solutions next to that. What is that you require? You require a lot of creativity, lot of innovative thinking in which you can find the solutions. So if you are a person who is creative, you don't have to waste a lot of time in searching, where do I get my solution? Where should I search? Those problems will never be there. You need to open up your eyes, look at what is around you, and that when you look around you, definitely will give you a solution which is very close to the problem which is existing. And if you are not a person who is able to see such problems and solutions close to your life, the problems are seen, questions are there only for people who think. If you are not thinking, you are a dumb fellow who will only listen to somebody without thinking. I am sure you have no questions. Many people doesn't have questions in this world. Why they don't have questions? Because they are not thinking. Any person who is thinking will have hundreds of questions. So how do you understand? Assume that when I go to a college to give lecture, I understand this college is very good based on the number of questions which they have. Assume that there are no questions. I understand these people are only young fellows who wanted to fill the seat, and they only wanted to sit there, and their ears are working, but the mind is not working, buddhi is not working. And they only want a certificate, they attended this program. That's what happens most of the time. And such students, when they become teachers also, they become cheaters. They don't learn anything new. So what is essential? Identify problems. So what is the first quality of a design thinker? He has to identify problems. And that is what inspires him, the quest. Whenever you have a problem, where, when, what, why, how, these are all questions which you get when you have problem. And when you get that problem, immediately you identify a problem, you know what should come. Wow! That is the surprise. That is the inspiration. If you don't have that, and you look at a problem saying, yeah, it's very tough, it's very difficult, what is this? That means you can never be a design thinker. So when you have that, then your brain will start working. That's what is called ideation. And create a prototype, test it. That's why design thinking becomes a circular objective. You make your own product. I'm sure after each class, I feel, yeah, I have done much better. Assume if I have got a PowerPoint, I will not be this effective and this active, because that is driven by the PowerPoint. I may use PowerPoint sometime if it is 2 days program or maybe full day program. For 1.5 hours to talk about design thinking, if I use PowerPoint, I am sure that I am only copying something and talking in some stuff somewhere. Actually, that is not at all required. Assume if I cannot create thoughts in me, how do I talk about design thinking? Right? If I don't have my own. So what is essential? Where, when, why, what? Keep on asking this question. That, and then make you yourself feel, wow, that's a great thought. When you get into that, I'm sure that is what is essentially required for every one of us. So you have first requirement, empathy map. Ask, say, why, think, all that can be done, and then identify the problem, and product you create, send to the market, make people to thinking the style which you are thinking, and then circulate it among, identify what is the product you want. I thought I had to speak 45 minutes and leave you to ask questions for the next 45 minutes. So I think it is 1:30 we started. Did we start at 1:30? Yeah. I think it's 2:15. Yeah, little late. So we have time up to 3 o'clock. I welcome all of you to ask a lot of questions to make me to answer. PowerPoint doesn't work. because I don't know what questions you are asking. If there are no questions, then that means you don't conceptualize, you don't understand, you don't think. If there are good questions, I'll be the happiest person. Yeah.